Hi, it's me, Vicki Marie. Well, I've got up this morning. Excuse the state of me, but I've only just got up. I have got put my lipstick on though, of course. And I started, reading the news like you do, and God, I just thought, what do people just think? These people in positions of power or famous people, they just think the public is stupid, don't they? So I've turned on to the news. First one, first is this one. Now we know he's not exactly famous for telling the truth, are they? So he's got these new allegations of lockdown. He's saying it's all a stitch up. The allegations of rule breaking are absolute nonsense. Okay, so he's the first one. I'm not really going to concentrate on him because I want to concentrate on the person that we were talking about last night in the live show. The thing is about Boris Johnson, what he does. So Carrie's pregnant again. What he does every time he gets there's a scandal coming out, Carrie gets pregnant and has a baby, and all the attention goes off whatever's going on. But definitely something going on there. He's not famous for telling the truth, is he? Not in his personal life, not in his public life. He doesn't know how to do it. To me, he's one of those people, Boris Johnson. It'd be great to go down the pub and have a drink with. I bet he's a laugh. I bet he's the best company. Do you know what I mean? But to be like a serious politician, and to me, he has as well. I know politicians have always lied, but what he's created since when he became prime minister and since then is this culture of lying and doing things wrong but not resigning. I mean, years ago, if politicians got caught out in a lie, they did resign at least. They took it on the chin. That's it. Now you've got to practically drag them kicking and screaming, no matter what they do. We've got a Secretary of State who's just abuse the law, who they break the laws. The prime minister has broken the laws, but it's like the laws are only made for the likes of you and me. They're not made for them, and if they break them, it's just a mistake, and they won't do it again. It's just with the gravitas in politics has just gone since this clown got involved in it, as far as I'm concerned. And so there's all going to be more come out about that. It'll come out slow. There'll probably be an inquiry, and we'll have to wait a couple of months. That's how it'll work. But anyway, so I turned on to his face. What does Carrie see in him? What do women see in him? I don't know. I mean, he must have. I think he must use like drugs or something to get, because he could. Women seem to like him. You let me know. Do you like him? Maybe you do, but I just don't get it at all. I think he'd be good company if I wanted to go out on a Saturday night and have a laugh. Yeah, great. I'd love to go out with him, but not. I mean, you could never believe a word he said or take him seriously in anything. So that was the first thing, that of course, he broke rules during lockdown. Of course, he did. Even the Queen stuck to the rules during lockdown. I mean, if anyone, when she had to bury her husband the night before she buried her husband and sat on her own, do you remember those pictures in the funeral of her sitting on her own grieving? This idiot was partying, and all his staffers or whatever were partying at number 10, like just disregarding all the rules of COVID, while the rest of us as well were. I mean, I wasn't in Britain, but I was here. We had a really severe lockdown here. You couldn't even go outside the door except to walk your dog for 15 minutes. You had, you trying to get your dog to do what he's supposed to do in 15 minutes and never do it, where you like timing it. And believe me, it was enforced. The police were everywhere and stopped you for everything. I was stopped just trying to take the dogs just round the corner to a different patch of, land or whatever for them to have a run around on. And the police told me it was to turn around and go home. It's literally 5 minutes away from my house. So you were only allowed to go out within so many feet of your house. Anyway, so we were all sticking to the lockdown rules, weren't we? Well, but but not them, because they were okay to have parties, because it was, it was all about work, of course, but it wasn't. And they think people have forgotten about that, but I don't think people have. I certainly haven't forgotten about it. And one of my friends, who her sister, my friend lives in France, but her sister lived in Manchester. Her sister has Down syndrome, and she got COVID, and she was taken into intensive care, and nobody could go and visit her. And this a woman, and she's a woman by then, with COVID, Down syndrome, had to die alone. Nobody could go and see her. So these people that stuck to the rules lost their loved ones, couldn't say goodbye to their loved ones, couldn't go to the funeral, or couldn't sit next to their family at the funeral, give them a hug or whatever. They don't forget these things. So, he treats it all like it doesn't matter. It does matter. So that was the first thing that I saw this morning when I got up, and I started to get like a bit, it's the lies. It's the lies that get me. It's not even what they do, because we're all human and we all do things that, I'm sure there's not, some of us have broke some rules during lockdown, and, silly things and what have you. But at the end of the day, why don't they just say that? It's the lies. They treat you like you're stupid. That's what I don't like. So then, what was that came up last night while we were on the live stream? We had some breaking news that Phillip Schofield had stepped down because of this affair that he had with a much younger man. Much younger, my God, he couldn't get much younger, really. And now this has started to annoy me even more, because not only him, but ITV, his agent, Holly Willoughby, they all knew. They all knew, of course they knew. He brought that lad to work with him at This Morning, and they all knew. I don't believe that they didn't know. So this is the agent's statement. So the agents are just as bad. So he said this relationship only started after he started work on the show that they worked on, and they started an unwise but not illegal relationship. Absolute rubbish. I mean, the thing is, I suppose he can't go on there and say, yes, I groomed this lad from the age of 10. He can't go on there and say that, because he'd just immediately get arrested. But then just better not saying anything, not saying this. And unwise, but not. He thinks people are stupid. People who liked him, people who respected him, and now he's making it even worse, because he's just treating them like they're stupid, like he did over the Q-gate thing, going to visit the Queen's the Queen line in state, etc. And then the agent, what did the agent said? And ITV, we are deeply disappointed by the admissions of deceit. Like they didn't know. Of course they knew. And he made his statement through the Daily Mail, for goodness me. And he misled his lawyer. He's misled ITV. He's misled his agent. So he talks about all these. I mean, when does he talk about his family? When it comes, when he's apologising, it takes quite a while for him to get to apologising to his wife, his two daughters, his 85-year-old mother, that have all had to endure this. When I chose to come out, I did so entirely for my own well-being. Nobody forced me out. Nobody has an injunction. He hasn't. So we'll see. If he's not got an injunction, why is this story not appeared? I mean, just treat it's just to treat people like they're thick is worse than just admitting to what you've done. So I'm resigning from ITV with immediate effect, expressing my immense gratitude to them for all the amazing opportunities that they have given me. I will reflect on my very bad judgment in both participating in the relationship and then lying about it. Give me a break. To protect his privacy, I'm not naming this individual. It's not to protect his privacy. It's because he doesn't want to confirm what everybody already knows. And my deepest wish is he and his family can move on with their lives free from further intrusion. And then his agent releases this: honesty and integrity are core values for YMU's whole business, defining everything we do. As if they didn't know. Of course they knew. What, yeah, an ITV spokesperson: we are deeply disappointed by the admissions of deceit made tonight by Phillip Schofield. Do they really? Honest to God, I swear, they just think everyone's thick and doesn't know, doesn't realise that there's more to come out. There's no way that that's it. I mean, to be fair, I don't know what the answer is for Philip now. Is what can he say? He can't admit to the truth because that would be prison. We're going to end up. I think he probably will end up in prison. It feels like it's going that way, because it's not this story. Just because he's said these things this morning, it's not gonna change things. When you're as famous as Phillip Schofield is, and these are serious allegations, aren't they? Or, well, nobody's actually alleging anything yet, I don't think, but these are serious perspective allegations. And there'll be more. There's always more. And something else I just wanted to look at. Let's see. If I get up on here. If I get up on here, and I'll share the screen with you. I was watching on something, I can't even remember where I saw, but when he came out, oh my God, it's so false. When he came out to Holly, he could only come out to her, Of course, he had to. So she interviews him about it on This Morning, telling him, I will be by your side forever. Till this, I suppose. Oh, I can't find the video, but you can find the video online. Oh, maybe if I press videos, it might come up. But yeah, here we go. Let's see if I can find that. No, that's not going to be the actual video, is it? Oh, that's right, because that would that have been during lockdown? Because then he went over to her and she gave him a hug, whatever. Right, I don't know if I can find this. Comes out. Yeah, no, I can't find the actual video. But I did watch it this morning. I'm sure you've seen it at some point. And gosh, if you look at him, he's pretending to cry, but there are no tears. Reminds me of watching Emma White being interviewed. It's like, and then when you look, there are actually no tears, and he's sort of looking around like, oh my goodness, you want to get the body language people on that. Is he genuinely upset? He was so staged, so false. Now the only thing I'm going to say in Philip's defense is Philip is 61, I believe. So he comes from a generation where when he was young, it wasn't as easy to be openly gay as it is now. And there were, I'm sure if you're around that age, you'll remember that, there were people at school that you knew they were gay, but they weren't openly gay. I remember one guy in particular, a young lad, well, obviously a young lad because we're at school, but he had a girl, he was going out with one of my friends, and I just remember thinking, oh, that's a bit strange, because one night they decided they were going to do it. And I mean, they were only in their, I don't know, 14 or 15, so they shouldn't have been doing it anyway. But she was sort of quite looking forward to it, and he just didn't turn up. They'd had a date, if you like, at her house. I think her parents were away, and he didn't go. Well, you know, that tells you something, doesn't it? What young lad of sort of 15 years old, 16 years old, he's not gonna, when he's got an opportunity like that, of course he's gonna turn up, but he didn't turn up. And then I met him like a couple of years later just by accident in Manchester town centre, and by then he was openly gay. And it you know, it was lovely to see him like himself, you know. And he said, God, it was just torture at school, like just pretending that I wasn't. And sometimes like he sort of overcompensated a bit. He was always sort of flirting with girls and things like that, but it was just like he was trying to pretend, you know, how sort of how not gay he was. But he was just so much happier when he did eventually come out, you know. So I know in that age group, it wasn't so like now. I mean, I'm sure it's still difficult now to come out. I know it probably, but at least society in general is much more accepting. I mean, Philip got a lot of love when he came out there, you know. People sort of we're all behind him, and that's what makes this even worse now, that he's just treating people like idiots, thinking that they'll just believe all these lies. Stop. All I would say to him is stop treating people like idiots. If the truth is something you can't say because it would result in you going to prison, don't say anything. Don't say things like, you know, trying to gain sympathy, and that people aren't so stupid as you think. You know, it is a total disrespect for people's intelligence, I think, to lie to them like that. Same with Johnson and the set, or any politician who does that. You know, stop treating people like they're thick and they just will accept everything you say. You know, be honest. Don't people respect? You know, to me, the worst thing you can do is lie. You know, if you hold your hands up, admit your faults, admit what you've done. Nobody's perfect. People appreciate that, but don't lie to them, because you know what? People realize in the end, you know, that they are being lied to, and then the backlash is, I think the backlash against Philip, a lot of it will be even stronger because of the lies that he's told, and because he was so popular. I mean, he was so popular, so that's the higher you are, the harder you fall, you know. And in my opinion, ITV, there's more going on there. I mean, there's always been these, you know, there was Michael Barrymore. I was talking about him to my son yesterday. You know, he was one of those, you know, how the mighty have fallen, because he was one of the most popular stars on TV, wasn't he? And then there was the incident at his home, and the guy died in the pool. And that's never really been gotten to the bottom of, even to this day, has it? You know, was it Stuart Lubbock, I think, and his dad, you know, has always insisted that there was some foul play involved there, but nothing's ever been proven. But again, it was a party. There was probably a lot of alcohol, drugs, etc. Probably, you know, some orgies taking place, to be fair. And so it was probably all very confusing. Who knows what happened to Stuart, you know? So will we ever find? That's another one, another mystery that we may never get to the bottom of. But that was the end of Michael's career, and he was good. I used to love watching Michael Barrymore, you know. And as I say, it's not that people cared that he then came out to be gay, because he was another one who was married. Again, probably an age group where at that time he probably when he was young, you know, he couldn't be openly gay. But I don't know. So I've got my rant out of the way now. I just sort of reading those things this morning, I just thought, you know, do they really think the public is so stupid that they're just going to believe all these things that they're saying? I mean, and having said that, what is the answer? What can Philip do now? What can he do? Perhaps just be quiet might be a good thing. Now, maybe that's what he'll do now, is step down, and if he's lucky and nothing else comes out, though I'll be very, very surprised if nothing else comes out, maybe he can just be quiet and just, you know, hope he saved his money up and that, because he'll never have a career again. But if he's got, hopefully he's got some money put away, because he's going to need it, because I can't see that he's ever going to get a job in any kind of TV again, or certainly not for quite a long time. So But yeah, let me know what you think. Why am I so angry? You know, I think, why am I so angry? Because I didn't even watch him. But I think it's not just this. It's this. It's the continuous series. Every time you look at the news or try, you know, with these cases that we look at and things, the gaslighting that goes on, the way of treating people as if they're stupid, it's a culmination, isn't it? It's just one thing after another. If it's not the politicians, then now it's the entertainment people. And, you know, for goodness sake, it sort of turns you off completely off the television. And, you know, you'd rather sort of watch me talking 5 minutes after I've gone. But I mean, at least I'm real, you know, I'm a real person who's not there sort of telling you things to sort of make you gaslight you and convince you of something. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, people want, maybe that's why people are turning off the TV so much now and going on social media and things, because they want some real people, do you know? And so they know, you know, maybe they realize that believe me, a lot of the things you see on the TV, they're not even true. On the news even and stuff. I mean, because I get a different news here, the Spanish news, and sometimes it's completely at odds with what the British news says. And you think, well, that they're saying this and they're saying that, so who's right? You know, recently they were saying that there was a shortage of vegetables, weren't there, because of the weather in Spain. It was rubbish. They had no shortage of vegetables. And even in Kiev, they had vegetables. In the Ukraine, it was to do with Brexit, but they were saying it wasn't, because they don't want you to know that it is. So this is what I'm saying, this culture of lying now, of just saying it, and then, you know, nobody can prove it otherwise, or people just accept what they say at face value. You can't accept anything at face value. Even what I'm saying, I would always say to someone, investigate it for yourself. You know, look at all different, you know, I try and look at different news channels, different perspectives from different countries as well, because I do feel a little bit worried about Britain sometimes, because since Brexit, it's become very isolated and very insular, and that's not good for Britain. That's not good for Britain, because then the government really can do more or less what it wants, because there's nowhere to turn. Who are you going to turn to if you've got an issue with the government or with the police, or where are you going to go with that? You know, you can't go to the European, well, you can still go to the European courts now, but not if this government has its way. You won't even be able to go there then, or, you know, it'll all be dealt with there. And if you're not important enough, you're not powerful enough, you're not rich enough to even get a lawyer in the first place, you've got nowhere to go. That's what I think. You can't even protest now like you used to be able to protest. You know, protests are just stamped on immediately. It's quite worrying if you look at it from the outside. But anyway, there you go. I've got my rant over with. I hope you all have a great Saturday. I'll see you tomorrow in the live stream. If I don't see you later on today, probably if something else comes up, I'll come on to have another rant. But I will definitely see you tomorrow. I'm thinking of doing, for the Serial Killer Sunday tomorrow, I'm thinking of doing Peter Tobin, because he's come up in a couple of the videos, because of Peter Folding, of course, did help in the search for some of his victims. So he's been mentioned, and it reminded me of him. And he's a very nasty, or he was a very nasty man. He died last year. God, I hope he's facing his sins now. But yeah, so I think I have a feeling that that's who I'll be doing Serial Killer Sunday on, Peter Tobin. And was he Bible John? Because anyway, we'll talk about that tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Let me know what are you annoyed as I am? Do you feel like you're being gaslit, or that the British public in particular? I mean, there's probably people, I know I've got viewers from all different countries. You're probably thinking, oh God, what's all this about? Maybe you've got similar things going on in your countries where you feel like you're really being gaslit by politicians, or not even just, you know, Phillip Schofield is not a politician, but he's like the darling of breakfast time TV. He was like so popular. So, and then not only that, because he was on any program you put on, he was there. He was on the Dancing on Ice, the Cube. Remember years ago, he was on Mr. and Mrs. with Fern Britton. He's on all these different programs, adverts. You know, anytime you turn your TV on, Phillip Schofield is going to be there, or was there. I mean, they'll all be being deleted now. But everybody, all these companies and advertising companies are going around just removing all trace of Phillip Schofield now from their adverts, etc. So yeah, let me know what you think. And can you think of anyone else? I mean, apart from Jimmy Savile, he was another one. For those of you who are not from Britain, this was another guy, again, a TV icon, Rolf Harris. If you're from a different country, is there anyone in your country where similar things happen, where someone's been really sort of held up as being great and famous and so popular, and then something's happened and it's completely... that's the end of them. Anyway, so remember to live and love very carefully. I will have a great weekend. I will see you tomorrow. In Spanish we say hasta mañana, and until then, may your God go with you. Thank you.